In a world addicted to noise where every second is filled with chatter, opinions, and endless commentary, there lies a forgotten strength. Silence. Not weakness, not retreat, but an act of supreme discipline, a conscious decision to hold your tongue and in doing so, master yourself. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you didn't react, didn't explain, didn't defend? What if the loudest thing you could say was nothing at all? In the chaos of our modern lives, silence has become a rare commodity. We're constantly urged to speak, to post, to argue, to justify. Yet Stoic philosophy whispers a different truth, one that echoes from ancient times to this very moment: the power of restraint. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, once said, "Better to stumble with your feet than with your tongue." Let that sink in. How many of our regrets were born not from what we did, but from what we said too quickly, too emotionally, too carelessly? Silence in the Stoic tradition isn't about being passive. It's not about fear. It's about power. The power to respond with clarity instead of chaos, with thought instead of impulse. Stoicism teaches us that silence is not merely the absence of speech, it's the presence of wisdom. It's the space where understanding grows. Imagine facing life's challenges with the calm confidence that your silence is more precise, more cutting, and more meaningful than 1,000 rushed words. Silence is a form of preparation. It protects you. It preserves your energy. It gives you time to see, to choose, instead of simply reacting. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, reminded us that if something external disturbs you, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. In silence we reclaim that power. So when is silence the wisest choice? Let's explore together the 9 critical moments where holding your tongue doesn't just protect your peace, it transforms your life. As we move through these powerful Stoic lessons, ask yourself, how might my life change if I used silence as a weapon of clarity? How often have I escalated a problem simply because I felt the need to have the last word? Picture this. You're in the middle of a heated disagreement. Emotions flare, voices rise. Now imagine responding not with rage, but with a calm, unshakable stillness. What would that silence say about you? That you're not easily provoked, that you're in control, that you're sovereign over your emotions. Stoicism shows us that silence is not retreat, it is mastery. So are you ready? Let's begin with the first of these moments. 1. When you're being unfairly criticized. There's something deeply human about the sting of unfair criticism. It hits us where we're most vulnerable, our pride, our efforts, our identity. But Stoic wisdom teaches us that how we respond matters far more than what was said. Marcus Aurelius reminds us again, you always have the power to change your thoughts. The insult itself isn't what wounds you, it's the way you interpret it. Think back. How many times did you lash out, defend yourself, or try to correct someone, only to regret it later? What if instead of reacting, you chose to stay silent? What if you allowed your calm to be your comeback? This is where true strength lies. In the workplace, for example, if you're leading a project and your boss criticizes it unfairly, the Stoic approach is not to argue. It's to evaluate the critique calmly, extract any useful truth and discard the rest like mental noise. You protect your dignity by staying grounded, not defensive. Epictetus said it best. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Your silence paired with consistent action and thoughtful results speaks volumes. There's no need to argue when your excellence proves them wrong. Holding your tongue is not weakness. It is strategy. It is an act of choosing what you can control, your reaction, while letting go of what you can't, the opinions of others. And when you do this, something incredible happens. You earn respect, not only from others, but from yourself. You become the one in the room with true command, not because you shouted the loudest, but because you didn't need to. As we continue through the next 8 moments, let the wisdom of Stoicism reshape the way you see silence, not as absence, but as strength in its purest form. Let's move to number 2. Previously, we explored how responding with silence when faced with unfair criticism is not a sign of weakness, but a profound expression of inner mastery. Now let's look deeper at how this quiet composure, rooted in Stoic philosophy, not only shields our peace, but also reveals the strength of our character to the world. When you choose silence over emotional reactivity, you send a powerful message. You are anchored. You are not a puppet of others' opinions. And most importantly, you are guided by reason, not impulse. In a world where conflict often arises from ego and misunderstanding, this silent discipline becomes a formidable force. It transforms potential tension into an opportunity to lead by example, to embody resilience, and to rise above trivial provocation. What if you took a breath before responding? What if you allowed your silence to speak your values? Every moment of quiet restraint becomes a silent declaration of your commitment to wisdom. This is how Stoicism lives, not merely as theory, but as a daily practice of intentional, measured response. When we are unjustly attacked, slandered, or misunderstood, and we choose not to retaliate, we walk in the path of the Stoics. They teach us, seek not approval, but virtue, and in that pursuit, we grow. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste time debating what a good man should be. Just be one." When we resist the urge to defend ourselves with words, especially in the face of baseless judgment, we create a space where growth can occur, not only for ourselves, but for others observing us. That silence becomes a mirror. It reflects dignity, it invites reflection. In a culture that celebrates self-promotion, where boasting and shouting are mistaken for strength, silence becomes a revolutionary act. The man who can remain silent while the world clamors for attention, he is not weak, he is sovereign. But what about those times when criticism cuts deep? Yes, criticism can be a tool for growth, but not all criticism is fair. Some is laced with envy, pettiness, or misunderstanding, and in those moments it is difficult not to feel shaken. But Stoicism reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters. Epictetus, when someone insults you or misjudges your intentions, take a moment, pause, breathe, consider the source, not just of the words, but of your reaction. What is it in you that wants to strike back? Is it your pride, your insecurity, or your fear? Stoic thought urges us to step back and observe, not just the situation, but ourselves. We are not obligated to defend every word we say, nor should we internalize every judgment thrown our way. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, if someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth. This is humility with courage. This is strength without arrogance. Even in the most unfair attack, there may lie a fragment of truth. The Stoic mind is trained to separate signal from noise, to extract value and discard venom. Letting go of the need to be understood by all. Let go of the hunger to be liked or validated. That is the trap of the ego. Instead, redirect your focus toward self-governance, toward living a life that is consistent, honorable, and true. And what about your presence? When you remain poised in the face of harsh criticism, you not only preserve your inner calm, but you also diffuse tension in the room. A composed response often softens even the most bitter voices. People begin to notice. They ask themselves, why isn't he rattled? That's when the real power of Stoicism reveals itself. You're not suppressing emotion. You're commanding it. You're not avoiding confrontation. You're transforming it into a moment of reflection. And when you walk away, not defeated but unmoved, you are practicing the deepest Stoic virtue, self-mastery. As Marcus once again reminds us, stop debating what makes a good man. Be one. Not with proclamations, not with rebuttals, but with consistent, steady action. So the next time someone throws an unfair critique your way, remember, pause before responding. Separate their opinion from your identity. Listen for any grain of truth. Disregard the venom, and continue forward on your path, for this is what it means to walk the Stoic path, not to be untouched by fire, but to be shaped by it into something stronger. Let's continue. Number 2. Stoic silence in the face of boasting. We've just uncovered how choosing silence in response to unfair criticism reflects true inner strength. Now let's move to another battlefield where silence becomes a shield when we encounter boasting. Imagine this scenario. You're at a social gathering or maybe in the office cafeteria. A co-worker starts bragging loudly about their recent promotion, the expensive vacation they just took, or the luxury car they now drive. You feel the urge to interject with your own story, perhaps to restore balance, or subtly remind them that you too have achieved things worth celebrating. But the Stoic in you pauses. Instead of engaging in this invisible tug-of-war for validation, you choose something far more powerful: restraint. Stoicism teaches us that we lose nothing by staying silent, but we often lose ourselves in unnecessary comparison. Your silence becomes an act of mental sovereignty. You allow the other person to reveal who they are while This is not weakness. It is strategic silence, a demonstration of both wisdom and confidence. Seneca once noted that true wealth lies not in having much, but in needing little. Similarly, true confidence lies not in proclaiming our victories, but in being content with who we are and what we value, without external applause. So next time you're tempted to measure your worth against someone else's parade of success stories, remember, the Stoic mind seeks peace, not competition. By remaining silent, you project a quiet strength that speaks volumes. You show that your identity is not shaped by comparison, but forged through self-respect. You keep your energy centered, your ego calm, and your focus directed toward more meaningful pursuits. One Stoic philosopher taught, "He who does not wish to be outnumbered by greater benefits should not return one benefit with another. He should return many at once." Translated into daily life, don't respond to arrogance with arrogance. Respond with the grace of your character. Let your actions, your consistency, your self-discipline, your quiet mastery be the true reflection of your success. You don't need to speak about your achievements. They live in the results you produce and the serenity you carry. And often, people will remember your composure longer than they'll recall someone else's boast. Ask yourself, what if I chose to simply listen and nod instead of adding my own story? What might happen to my relationships, my peace of mind, my sense of self? By doing so, you create a space that's no longer driven by ego or silent rivalry, but by inner fulfillment and tranquility. You break the cycle of constant comparison. You stop feeding the hunger for validation, and you begin to cultivate a life that thrives on inner richness, not external display. This is Stoicism in practice, choosing elevation over reaction, serenity over showmanship. So next time someone stands tall on a podium of pride, don't climb up with them. Stand firm where you are, grounded in purpose, content in virtue. And now let us move forward into the next challenge. Number 3. When dealing with anger, just as silence can neutralize pride, it can also extinguish the flames of anger. Anger in its rawest form is like a storm, sudden, loud, and capable of destruction, but Stoicism offers a shelter, a sacred pause, a moment of clarity before the damage begins. Epictetus once advised, "Keep silent for the most part or speak only when necessary." Not to suppress, but to master the inner chaos. Now picture this. You're at work. A teammate makes a careless mistake. Because of it, you're left picking up the pieces, wasting hours you didn't plan to lose. Your first instinct? Frustration, maybe even rage. But then, you remember the Stoic way. You choose stillness. By not reacting instantly, you grant yourself the most valuable resource, perspective. You allow reason to step in before wrath takes over. You shift from emotional impulse to rational response. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, posed a powerful reflection. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Let that linger for a moment. How many times have we allowed our anger to cause more harm than the mistake that provoked it? Take, for example, Nelson Mandela, who, after years of unjust imprisonment, chose forgiveness over vengeance. His silence, in the face of justified rage, didn't weaken his legacy. It elevated it. And so can yours. By choosing not to lash out, you reclaim your inner command. You prove that your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Stoicism isn't about denying anger. It's about guiding it. So the next time you feel that fire rise within, remember this. You are not your emotions. You are the master of them. Choose silence, then choose clarity. And finally, choose action that reflects your higher self, not your wounded pride. In the last section, we saw how silence in the heat of anger is not a sign of repression, but a deliberate act of inner discipline. Now let's go deeper. What if that silence could become a sanctuary, a space where wisdom, not impulse, becomes your guide? Nelson Mandela once led a nation from bitterness to reconciliation, not by shouting, but by choosing when to speak and when to remain silent. This kind of silence doesn't deny emotion. It directs it. It doesn't suppress. It transcends. Using silence in moments of anger doesn't mean burying your feelings. It means responding from a place aligned with your higher self, your stoic self. When we embrace this discipline, not only do we protect our peace, but we also lay the foundation for deeper, more harmonious relationships. Anger, though natural, can be corrosive when left unchecked. It damages health, fractures trust, and often leaves behind words we cannot take back. The Stoic path offers a different route, a quieter one, a wiser one. Anger is an impulse, wisdom is a practice. Here's how Stoicism teaches us to handle it, with clarity, self-awareness, and composure. Investigate the cause. Pause and trace the root of your anger. Is it truly the person in front of you, or is it the meaning you've attached to their action? Are you reacting to a present moment, or to a pattern, a memory, a wound? Self-reflection. Why does this trigger affect you so deeply? Stoicism reminds us that we are often upset, not by things themselves, but by our interpretation of them. By examining our own thoughts, we reclaim control over our emotional responses. Acceptance. The world will not always be kind. People will be flawed. Circumstances will shift beyond our control. But our reactions, they are always ours to govern. This is the Stoics' domain, the mastery of response, not the manipulation of fate. Mindfulness. Keep your awareness anchored in the present. The past is unchangeable, and the future uncertain. Anger often feeds on both. The now, however, is where clarity resides. Breathe deeply, simple yet powerful. Deep breathing regulates the body and slows the mind. With each exhale, you create space for reason, for discernment, for restraint. Pause before response. Even a 5-second silence can prevent 5 hours of regret. Let your words be intentional, not impulsive. Let your silence carry strength, not suppressed resentment, but purposeful calm. Reframe your perception. Ask yourself, how would a Stoic perceive this? Would Marcus Aurelius dwell on this moment, or deem it unworthy of disturbance? Would Epictetus rise to the insult or rise above it? Shift perspective. Look at the situation from the other's point of view. Maybe they acted from fear, insecurity, or ignorance. Seeing from their eyes does not excuse the harm, but it frees you from the chains of judgment. Strengthen inner endurance. Build habits that nourish your spirit. Journal your thoughts. Reflect in solitude. Move your body. Meditate on your day. The stronger your inner life, the less power anger holds over you. Channel your energy. Anger is raw energy, neutral in nature. Use it to create, to exercise, to build something meaningful. Let it fuel transformation instead of destruction. Learn and adapt. Every flare of anger is a message. What does it teach you about your boundaries, your beliefs, your blind spots? Use that knowledge not to harden yourself, but to refine your responses going forward. Speak with composed honesty. When it is time to speak, do so with grace, not to attack but to express. Stoic communication is rooted in clarity, not emotion, in truth, not vengeance. Managing anger isn't about pretending you're unaffected. It's about proving that your values are stronger than your impulses. By tracing your triggers, observing your reactions, shifting your perspective, and responding with intention, you don't just manage anger, you transform it. The Stoic doesn't deny the storm. He simply chooses to sail through it with a steady hand. And with that, we arrive at our next challenge. Number 4. Silence in the face of false rumors. When words swirl like leaves in a storm, how do you hold your ground? Let's find out. Page 5. Rewrite. Always be silent. In 9 situations, Marcus Aurelius Stoicism. We've just learned how choosing silence during moments of anger isn't about suppression. It's about sovereignty. But what happens when the storm isn't inside of you but outside, when rumors swirl and false accusations come your way? In such moments, when the truth is twisted and words are turned into weapons, the Stoic answer is both simple and powerful. Be quiet. Imagine this. A teacher in a small, close-knit town is suddenly accused of something she did not do. The rumors spread quickly, like wildfire through dry grass. She could have tried to defend herself, argue with every whisper, or confront those who doubted her, but instead, she remained silent. Her silence wasn't weakness. It wasn't surrender. It was wisdom in action. She trusted her character more than the noise. She knew that the truth needs no trumpet. Her integrity, like a mountain, did not flinch in the face of wind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This teacher lived by that principle. While others reacted in haste, she stood still, calm, measured, and resolved. Think about this. How often do hasty words make a situation worse? When accused unfairly, we often feel compelled to defend ourselves, to correct every lie. But that impulse, though human, often drags us into the very mud we wish to rise above. The Stoic way says otherwise. By remaining silent, the teacher allowed the noise to burn itself out. Without new fuel, the gossip faded. As time passed, and no evidence came to support the false claim, the silence became her shield, and eventually her vindication. This is not passivity. This is restraint fueled by clarity. Epictetus once offered a counterintuitive insight. If someone speaks ill of you, praise them. Why? Because you refuse to become their mirror. You disrupt the pattern. In the case of false rumors, silence can say, I trust the truth. I trust myself. I do not need to prove what I already am. Responding with silence doesn't mean you agree. It means you refuse to be dragged down into chaos. So how can we apply this in our own lives? Ask yourself, must every whisper be answered? Must every shadow be chased? When you live in accordance with your values, when your life reflects the truth, you won't need to defend it with noise. Your actions speak for you. Silence, in this context, is a testament to your devotion to Stoic principles. It's not just a defensive move, it's a form of moral discipline, a declaration that your peace is not for sale at the price of public approval. Let others talk. Let rumors rise, and let them fall without your help. As you face misunderstandings, betrayals, or slander in your personal or professional life, let the philosophy of the Stoics guide you. Guard your mind, control your response, and trust that their truth, like still water, runs deep. Let's now shift to another deeply human experience. Number 5. How to deal with loss if. False accusations are loud and fiery. Loss is the opposite. It's the echoing silence after someone we love is gone. A stillness so profound it feels like time itself has stopped. Loss comes to us all, uninvited, unexplained, and often unbearable. But the Stoics offer us a lens to see this pain not as an end, but as a transition. C.S. Lewis, in his book A Grief Observed, wrote after the passing of his wife, "The pain I feel now is the happiness I had before. That's the deal." Though not a Stoic himself, Lewis captured the essence of Stoic acceptance, that grief is not separate from love. It is born from it. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it even more bluntly. The day which we fear as our last is but the birthday of eternity. So how do we deal with the silence that follows loss? We don't rush to fill it. We don't run from it. We sit with it. Like C.S. Lewis, we use the silence as a space for reflection, not escape. A sacred place to explore what we feel, not deny it. A time to let the waves of sadness pass until they reveal something deeper underneath. Meaning. This is how Stoicism guides us through grief. Accept the flow of life. Everything that lives must change, evolve, and eventually pass. Nature gives, and it takes. To resist this truth is to struggle against the current. Give yourself space. Not every pain must be solved. Some must be witnessed. Give yourself permission to grieve, reflect, and feel. Find the lesson in the silence. Loss teaches us about impermanence, about love, about what truly matters. It's not an enemy, it's a teacher. Don't deny your emotions. Observe them. Let them arise without judgment. Feel, reflect, and then respond, not react. In loss, we are reminded that all things are temporary, including sorrow. And when we embrace that, we begin to heal. Think back to a time you experienced loss. What did you learn? How did silence help you make sense of it? Maybe next time grief comes knocking, you'll remember you don't have to fight it. You just have to face it with calm, with strength, with Stoic resolve. Page 6. Rewrite. Always be silent. In 9 situations. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism. Mo Jiao Dan. Dat mak lien mak. In the silence of loss, we discovered that grief is not something to escape, but something to understand. Now let us reflect on how Stoic philosophy gives us tools, not to eliminate sorrow, but to rise with grace through it. Loss comes in many forms: the passing of a loved one, the end of a relationship, the loss of a job, a dream, or even our sense of identity. These moments strike at the core of who we are. They leave behind not just silence, but emptiness. And yet, the Stoic response is not denial. It is acceptance with dignity. So before we move on, take a moment. Ask yourself, What have I lost? And more importantly, what did I learn from it? If you've experienced grief, pain, or deep emotional upheaval, we invite you to share your story in the comments below. Not to complain, but to connect. Not to relive the sorrow, but to witness how you've grown. Let's talk, let's listen, and let's heal together. Now let's turn to the Stoic way of facing life's deepest wounds. Recognize and accept what you feel. Grief is not weakness. It is the echo of something that mattered. A Stoic accepts emotion without judgment. If you must cry, cry, let the pain come. But let it flow through you, not define you. Try this. Journal your thoughts. Write letters to those you've lost, or speak honestly with a trusted friend. Expression, not suppression, leads to transformation. Focus on what is within your control. You cannot undo the loss, but you can shape your response. You can decide how you will carry the pain, whether as a weight or as a tool that refines your character. Try this. Ask yourself, what can I influence right now? Maybe it's your attitude, your habits, your next step. Anchor yourself in what you can shape. Reframe the pain as a path to wisdom. The Stoics believe that hardship is the forge of greatness. Pain is not the end of you, it is a beginning. It reveals your strength. It awakens your compassion. It sharpens your view of what truly matters. Try this. Reflect. What did this experience teach me that I could not have learned otherwise? Practice gratitude. Gratitude doesn't deny your pain. It reorients your perspective. In the shadow of loss, it helps you see the light that remains. Try this. Every day, write down 3 things you're grateful for, no matter how small. A memory, a moment of peace, a friend. Gratitude is the quiet balm for grief. Lean on your circle. Stoicism does not glorify isolation. The Stoics valued community, conversation, and companionship. Sharing your burdens makes them lighter. Try this. Speak with someone who has walked a similar path. Whether it's family, friends, or a support group, know this. You are not alone. Healing is not a straight path. It moves in spirals, with moments of clarity and moments of ache. But through Stoic practice, we can navigate those turns with greater strength. By naming our emotions, focusing on what we can control, reframing our losses, giving thanks for what remains, and connecting with others, we don't just endure grief, we grow through it. And now let us turn to another challenge that calls for Stoic silence, not one of sorrow but one of restraint in the face of ignorance. Number 6. Navigating ignorance with Stoic grace. Have you ever met someone who speaks with certainty but lacks true understanding? Someone whose opinions shout louder than their knowledge? It's frustrating. It's tempting to correct them. But it's also the perfect moment to practice the discipline of patience. Consider the story of Galileo Galilei, a scientist who dared to speak truth in an age of deep misconception. For supporting the idea that the earth revolves around the sun, he was condemned and placed under house arrest, yet even in silence he stood firm in truth. This is Stoicism in action. Galileo didn't lash out. He didn't seek revenge. He knew that the truth did not need his outrage, it only needed his integrity. Marcus Aurelius, who governed Rome amidst endless chaos, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When faced with ignorance, the Stoic response is composure. Ask yourself, must I correct this person, or can I let their misunderstanding pass like a cloud over the mountain? Sometimes silence is not agreement, it is sovereignty. It's saying, I will not allow your noise to disturb my clarity. Page 7, rewrite, always be silent. In 9 situations, Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism. From Galileo's story, we've learned that silence in the face of ignorance isn't submission, it's mastery. The Stoic recognizes that truth stands on its own, And the wise don't waste energy arguing with what is beyond their control. Now let's carry that clarity forward into another battlefield of modern life. Rumors. Have you ever heard whispers behind your back? Felt the sting of a story that twisted your intentions? Seen people question your values based on words you never said? You're not alone. At some point in life, everyone becomes the subject of gossip. It spreads like wildfire. Quiet at first, then loud, sometimes louder than the truth itself. The natural instinct is to fight it, to defend yourself, to explain, until the noise dies down. But the Stoic way offers something radically different. Silence, purposeful silence. Let's reflect on the story of a local community leader, someone known for her tireless environmental work. One day, rumors began to circulate. Accusations of personal profit. Claims that she was using her cause for gain. The noise grew. She could have called press conferences, argued back, fought every whisper. Instead, she remained quiet. She focused on her mission. She let her actions speak. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who hurt you." That is exactly what she did. She didn't mirror the pettiness. She rose above it. Her continued efforts, her composure and her impact slowly eclipsed the rumors. Those who doubted her had no choice but to confront the facts, not the fiction. This is Stoic silence in action. It's not indifference. It's deliberate discipline. It's a choice to trust time, truth, and your own integrity more than temporary noise. Ask yourself, what if you didn't respond to every rumor? What if your work, your calm presence became your answer? Imagine how much mental energy you would preserve, how much peace you would reclaim. By choosing not to react to every falsehood, you rob the rumor of its power. Epictetus once said, "If someone speaks ill of you and it is true, correct yourself. If it is false, ignore it." This principle served the community leader well. She corrected nothing. She denied nothing. She simply continued being who she was. And in time, the rumors faded. Now consider your own life. What fires have you accidentally fueled by reacting in anger or desperation? How many of those fires could have died out on their own, if only you had stayed still? The next time you hear your name twisted in the wind, pause. Ask, does this rumor define me? Or will my character speak louder than gossip ever could? Silence in this case is not weakness. It is self-respect. It tells the world, I know who I am. I don't need to defend it. The leader's grace not only preserved her own dignity, it quietly invited others to do the same. She reminded her community that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply continues. By staying composed in the face of slander, she embodied the Stoic belief that external noise means nothing unless you let it in. So reflect, how has your silence helped you reclaim your calm in moments of conflict? What would change in your life if you no longer chased rumors with explanations? Let us know in the comments. What lessons have you learned from staying silent? In the storm of gossip, how has Stoicism helped you handle those moments? Previously, we saw how silence in the face of gossip can protect our dignity and allow the truth to surface over time. Now let's build on that strength by learning how to stay centered when faced with the chaos of rumor and speculation. In a world of constant noise, where stories travel faster than truth, rumors can feel like a sudden storm, unexpected, overwhelming, and damaging. They can hurt your image, distort your intentions, and stir anxiety where peace once lived. But the Stoics give us an anchor: silence, clarity, and measured thought. Here's how we practice Stoic resilience when whispers threaten to steal our peace. Guard your emotions. When you first hear something false or unsettling, your emotions will flare. Anger, confusion, the urge to respond, these are all natural. But Stoicism reminds us, a reaction given in haste often adds weight to the rumor. Take a breath. Remind yourself, what others say about me does not define who I am. Pause before responding. Let the fog settle. Often, stories lose their power when left unanswered. In your stillness, you'll find clarity, and if a response is truly necessary, it will come from wisdom, not reactivity. Seek the facts. Rumors thrive on distortion, so gather truth before forming conclusions. Speak to trusted sources, ask questions, verify details. Be a seeker of clarity, not a spreader of confusion. Think before acting. Every reaction has a ripple. If you respond impulsively, you may unintentionally give the rumor more attention. But if you act with intention, calm, focused, rational, you shift the energy toward resolution, not escalation. Respond wisely if you must. Sometimes silence is the best defense. Other times, a gentle correction may be needed. Choose your words with care. Let them be calm, firm, and rooted in truth. Let your character be your shield. Over time, what people see in your actions will speak louder than any story told about you. Be consistent. Be kind. Be rooted in your values. The Stoic knows, time reveals all things. When you walk in integrity, the falsehoods fall away. They may echo for a while, but they do not endure. Detach from what you can't control. You cannot control others' opinions. You cannot silence every whisper. But you can control your thoughts, your behavior, and your peace. Let go of the rest. Stay true to your principles. Continue your work. Uphold your values. Be the same in private as you are in public. The more aligned your life is, the less vulnerable you become to slander. This is the Stoic path. Control your inner world. Seek truth, not gossip. Respond with logic, not ego. Practice consistency over time. By doing so, you protect your honor and your peace of mind, even in the face of lies. Number 8. When confronted with injustice, now let us move to a deeper challenge. 1. That tests not only our patience but our principles. Injustice. What should we do when we are treated unfairly? How do we respond when the world turns cruel, when people wrong us without cause, when the system fails? The Stoic answer is not rage. It is resilience. The wise Epicurean saying, "Bear and forbear," reminds us to endure hardship with dignity and forgive others when possible, not for their sake but for our own inner freedom. Let's reflect on the story of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison under a system built on racial oppression, and yet, when he emerged, he did not seek vengeance. He sought unity. He could have used his voice to inflame anger. Instead, he used it to build peace. This, too, is Stoicism. Not passive acceptance, but strategic, principled silence that prepares the ground for thoughtful action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who wronged you." Mandela lived that wisdom. He did not mirror injustice with bitterness. He channeled his pain into purpose. He led not with fury, but with vision. And in doing so, he transformed a nation and inspired the world. What would our lives look like if we chose that same path? When wronged, could we respond not with retaliation, but with composure? Could we choose to be examples of strength, not victims of pain? Stoicism teaches us, your greatest power is not in what happens to you, but in how you choose to respond. So the next time you face injustice, ask yourself, can I stay calm even when it's unfair? Can I hold to my values when the world seems to abandon them? Can I use my silence not as surrender but as strategy? Let Mandela's example remind you, true power is quiet, calm, and unshakable. It doesn't shout, it endures. And through it, change becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Nelson Mandela's example reminded us that even in the face of deep injustice, The Stoic path is not vengeance but virtue. And from that silence, measured and intentional, can emerge real, transformative change. There will be moments in life when injustice knocks on your door, not just once but again and again. Unfair treatment at work, being misunderstood, watching others take credit for your effort. These moments challenge your resolve. But for the Stoic, they are not setbacks, they are summons. Stoic wisdom, passed down through Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, teaches us to approach injustice with a calm mind, clear reasoning, and unwavering moral clarity. Let's walk through the Stoic response step by step. Guard your inner peace. Whatever turmoil is happening around you, your first task is to protect your mind. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Don't give the outside world control over your emotions. Regulate your emotions. Before you act, breathe. Center yourself. Use practices like meditation, mindfulness, or simply walking in silence. These moments of quiet do not delay action. They prepare you to act well. Accept what you can't change. You may not be able to control the injustice itself or the people behind it, but you can always control your response. That's where your strength lies, not in domination but in self-governance. Respond with reason. Do not let rage dictate your next move. Take time to analyze the situation. What is truly happening? What matters? And what is noise? Thoughtfulness is the Stoic's greatest tool. Seek understanding. Sometimes behind injustice lies ignorance or fear. Try to understand what caused the unfairness. This does not mean justifying it, but clarity opens the door to meaningful solutions. Resist the pull of revenge. As tempting as it may be to fight fire with fire, retaliation darkens your own spirit. Responding with anger perpetuates the cycle. Instead, choose reason, choose grace, stay rooted in your values. Your principles are your compass. Let your decisions and words align with them, especially when tested. When you are wronged, your character must remain untouched. Uphold moral integrity. Let every response you offer reflect your inner code. This is not just about what you say, it's how you live. People will remember how you carried yourself when it mattered most. Lead by example. Your calmness becomes a light for others. Your restraint sets a standard. You don't just endure injustice, you teach others how to endure it with dignity. Shift towards solutions. Don't dwell in the wound. The Stoic moves from injury to insight. Look at every unfair moment as a problem to solve, not just an obstacle to resent. Communicate honestly. If there is a chance to resolve things through clear, respectful dialogue, take it. Speak not to shame, but to seek understanding and change. Advocate for what's right. Wherever possible, use your voice and actions to fix the root of the injustice, not just the symptoms. Influence systems, build bridges, be part of the solution, reflect and grow. Every unfair experience is an invitation. Ask, what did this teach me about myself? How did I respond? What can I refine? Growth is the Stoic's reward for enduring difficulty with awareness. Prepare for the future. Injustice will return. That's the nature of life. So build your inner tools now. Strengthen your mind. Learn new skills. Fortify your emotional discipline. Be ready, not bitter. When faced with injustice, stay calm. Respond with clarity. Stay aligned with your principles. Seek meaningful outcomes. And always learn from the experience. This is the Stoic path, not to avoid difficulty, but to walk through it with purpose and composure. When we face unfairness with clarity and calm, we don't just protect our peace, we influence the world around us through strength and example. And now let's turn to one final challenge that Stoic silence helps us conquer: insults. Number 9. How to handle insults with Stoic wisdom. There will be moments when people try to provoke you. They'll throw words like daggers, testing your composure, baiting your reaction. But Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, left us a profound reminder. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. In other words, no one can truly offend you unless you permit it. When someone insults you, they are not just exposing their character, they are offering you a test. A moment to practice complete self-command. And in that moment, the most powerful response is often silence. Let's remember Mahatma Gandhi, a leader who faced relentless verbal attacks, ridicule, and resistance during his quest for Indian independence. But Gandhi didn't respond with fury. He didn't hurl insults back, he remained composed. He chose quiet strength. He believed in ahimsa, non-violence, not just in action, but in speech and thought. This mirrors the Stoic path. The calm warrior who wins not through conflict, but through unshakable presence. So how can we apply this in our own lives? When someone mocks you or spreads harsh words, you have two choices. React emotionally and allow them to control your peace. Pause, reflect, and respond, if needed, with grace. Ask yourself, what does my reaction say about me? Will silence here protect my energy and preserve my integrity? What would Marcus Aurelius do? He once wrote, "How much worse are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" When you respond with anger, you descend to their level. But when you remain still, composed and unaffected, you rise. You become untouchable. You become stoic. Think of this not just as avoidance, but as leadership. People admire those who stay calm when provoked. Your calm becomes a mirror, forcing others to see themselves more clearly, and over time your silence becomes your shield, your dignity becomes your defense, and your self-control becomes your power. We've now journeyed through 9 moments where Stoic silence becomes a superpower. When unfairly criticized, when facing boasting, in the heat of anger, amid false rumors, during grief and loss, in the presence of ignorance, in moments of injustice, under the weight of gossip, and finally, when insulted, each moment invites you to choose mastery over reaction, to choose reason over emotion, to choose silence, not as surrender, but as strength. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Don't waste time debating what a good man should be one." Let that guide you, not just today, but every day. Let your silence be filled with meaning. Let it be active, not passive. Let it build your character. Let it shape your peace, and let it speak when words would only blur the truth. If these Stoic reflections spoke to something inside you, if you felt calmer, wiser, or simply understood, then you are already walking the path. Practice this silence. Use it in your relationships, your work, your hardships. Let it become the root of your inner strength. And if you found this video meaningful, we'd love to hear from you. Tap the like button to support our mission. Leave a comment sharing your story. How has silence transformed your life? Share this video with someone who needs a little peace. And don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Havenway, your sanctuary, for calm wisdom, deep growth, and powerful Stoic truths that stand the test of time. We'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, speak less, reflect more, and always stand firm in silence.